All right, we have a lot of ground to cover tonight. Joining us first, we begin with Devin Nunes. He is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. He's a California congressman. Congressman, you say that you will move to hold the Attorney General of the United States in contempt of Congress. Explain how they have been slow walking, using redactions in the name of national security that turn out not to be true, and how they have been unwilling to answer Congress's subpoena, and how that is the constitutional role of Congress.
Well, thanks, Sean. First of all, you don't have enough time left on your show in order for me to get to all of the stonewalling that DOJ and FBI have done throughout our investigation. Let's just maybe pick a few at the top. Just last week, after 6 weeks, we discovered that for the first time, the American people now know that James Comey testified before Congress that he was not, that the FBI agents that interviewed Flynn didn't think he was lying. It took us 6 weeks for the FBI and DOJ to get rid of those redactions. That was finally released late on a Friday night. If you go back to the things that they've dealt with, if you look at with Fusion GPS and getting documents that were pertinent for that fight, that's just another good example of the fact that we weren't able to figure out that the FBI and DOJ actually knew that the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee had paid for the dirt on. How
long did they know that, sir? Because we didn't find out, if I'm correct, for a year later.
Well, look, we believe that they knew it. They knew it basically from the very beginning.
Wait, that would mean they knew that Clinton paid for it when they made the FISA application, and they never verified the Clinton dossier by a foreign agent citing unverified Russian sources. They knew all of this. Did they lie to a FISA judge?
Well, they know things. Here's the funny thing is that they know things. They know things that aren't true, like the fact that James Comey testified and even said on Bret Baier's show that Republicans had started the dossier. So that wasn't true. Now, what is true is that the Democratic Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign paid for the dirt. But, of course, Mr. Comey didn't tell that to Congress.
So now he lied. Because Christopher Steele was not brought in. I saw that interview. He was not brought in until Hillary started paying that bill, correct?
Well, we don't know. He had been I think he had been a source before, or he had been affiliated. But the bottom line is that at about the same time, the FBI started getting information. At the same time, the DNC was paying Mr. Steele. So we know that much. So now we get to, so let's get to where we're at today. We sent a letter 2 weeks ago to the Department of Justice, a classified letter. They ignored that letter. We had to then issue a subpoena last week. We issued a subpoena. Then finally on Thursday, they got back to us and said they weren't going to comply with the subpoena. Now, over the course of the last few days, they continued to leak ridiculous stories, leak stories of classified meetings that occurred at the White House. That, quite frankly, some of us weren't even aware of these meetings, but they're coming to us with accusations that clearly had to have been leaked by the Department of Justice and the FBI.
How soon will you hold Jeff Sessions in contempt?
Look, so I want to talk to Mr. Sessions. So Attorney General Sessions said today that he wants to discuss things. That's good. I want to talk to him. I actually don't believe that Mr. Sessions saw my letter. I really don't. I don't think the Attorney General saw it. So then we had to move to the subpoena, which I'm sure he found out about that. But, at the end of the day, he's in charge there. I think there's enough information now that the that's out there now between what you saw in the court that you had in your monologue on Friday. Wow. I think the Attorney General should, at some point, the recusal gets ridiculous.
I am befuddled and bewildered. Look, for example, there's a great piece by Andrew McCarthy. Why all the secrecy? Outrageous redactions to the Russia report. Rod Rosenstein, up to the final minute, we would never have gotten the Nunes memo or the Grassley-Graham report about FISA abuse because Rod Rosenstein, according to my sources, was begging Paul Ryan not to hand that information that you subpoenaed way in advance, and he waited to the last hour to hand it over. Why is Rod Rosenstein doing this? Why are they now, the FBI, refusing to pursue the personal struck page text when we know there are gaps missing in that? And at what point do we see this as an obstruction case?
Well, I agree with you that they should just stop digging. I don't know what's going on in their minds. There's enough information out there now. They should know that what's occurred here now was inappropriate. They know that they can't investigate themselves. And so, you know, if you want to actually get to solving the problem, just stop making the problem worse. Give us the information in a timely manner. I mean, just give us all the information. Just give it to us so that the investigators that have the oversight role can properly go through everything. But when the more that they spread this out bit by bit by bit, the more ridiculous they look and the more dishonest they look and the more corrupt that it looks to the American people.
If I've been wrong, I know you follow the show. I only have 20 seconds. Is there anything I've been wrong about on this show? Because it now seems to everything is now falling into place, and we see what's happening. And Rod Rosenstein said the Justice Department won't be extorted. Last word. You have about 20 seconds.
Yeah, that statement was totally ridiculous. They just need to give us the documents, Sean. Look, this is going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. There's a lot more information out there that the American public deserves a right to know. And you have not been wrong on anything that I've seen. But you know what your challenge is? You haven't seen all the information, and you have a right to see it, and it's worse.
Unbelievable. All right, sir. Thank you for the good work you're doing to be transparent with the American people.